I refuse to punish my daughter for telling her stepmother she doesn't care about her cancer diagnosis after years of toxic behavior. My ex-husband Daniel and I share custody of our 13-year-old daughter and 12-year-old son. While I was in the hospital recovering from our son's complicated birth, Daniel left me for his current wife, Michelle. They immediately tried to take advantage of my vulnerable state to get full custody of the kids, which thankfully failed. The divorce dragged on for almost 2 years because Daniel and Michelle wanted the house he and I had shared, with him claiming it was 100% his property when it wasn't. Eventually, the house was sold and we split the proceeds 50-50. We ended up with 50-50 custody, but I retained sole decision-making authority for education and medical issues. This was because Daniel had engaged in several custody fights before the divorce was finalized and admitted in court that he would make major decisions with Michelle without consulting me. The judge was not pleased with that arrangement. There was a period when the kids were 6 and 7 where I had them for almost 2 years straight. Daniel and Michelle had engaged in serious parental alienation tactics, tried to interfere with the kids' therapy, and pushed hard to make the children call Michelle mom. They were required to take co-parenting and parenting classes plus therapy before they could have unsupervised visits again, and even longer before custody was restored. The relationship between Daniel and me remains terrible, and there's no relationship between Michelle and me at all. We hate each other and avoid contact completely. I hate Daniel too, but it's more from disgust at how he consistently puts Michelle before our children's well-being. He doesn't seem to care how much their behavior hurts the kids. Our children don't have a positive relationship with Michelle, and Daniel has complained about their disrespect toward her in the past, though he never provided specific examples. That changed recently when he demanded I continue a punishment he'd imposed on our daughter. Daniel and Michelle have been trying unsuccessfully to have children together. 2 months ago, Michelle was diagnosed with cervical cancer. A few weeks after her diagnosis, Daniel and Michelle tried to set up the kids to help around the house and take care of Michelle during their custody time. Michelle told them she'd need her babies more than ever, and my daughter responded by saying she wouldn't help and doesn't care that Michelle has cancer. Daniel demanded an apology, but our daughter refused. The next night, Daniel emailed me demanding that I ground our daughter for at least 30 days and longer if she continued refusing to apologize. He said she couldn't get away with speaking to Michelle that way and had essentially wished death on her. He also mentioned that our son might need punishment too, since he appeared to share the sentiment but hadn't voiced it. I told Daniel I wouldn't be grounding our daughter for a month and that he needed to reflect on their behavior to understand why she responded that way and why our son seems to feel similarly. When the kids returned to my house, I spoke with both of them. My daughter explained that she hates how Daniel and Michelle expect them to care for Michelle when Michelle does everything possible to be awful to me and never cared if her actions hurt the children. She said she was tired of them acting like Michelle was their mother. My son said he doesn't want to help Michelle either but stayed quiet to avoid punishment. He mentioned that Michelle used to wish for me to get sick like that, so he didn't think it was fair to ask them to help her now. Daniel has been repeatedly emailing asking if I've grounded our daughter yet. He's resorted to name-calling and accused me of trying to curse Michelle through our kids. He said I was failing as a mother and letting adult issues turn the children into awful people. While his words don't make me feel guilty, I am reflecting on whether I'm doing what's best for my children. Their feelings seem valid to me, and I don't think they're wrong about Michelle having earned their refusal to help through her past behavior, but I might be too close to the situation to assess it reasonably. The history here is crucial context. Daniel and Michelle engaged in parental alienation so severe that supervised visits were necessary. They tried to force the children to call Michelle mom and interfered with their therapy. Michelle apparently made comments about wishing I would get sick, which my son remembers. These aren't typical step-family adjustment issues. This is a pattern of toxic behavior that directly impacted the children. My daughter's response, while harsh, seems like a natural reaction to years of being forced into a relationship with someone who has been hostile toward her mother and manipulative toward her and her brother. The fact that both children feel this way independently suggests this isn't me poisoning them against Michelle, but rather their own authentic response to her treatment of them. I think Daniel's demand for extended punishment is unreasonable given the context. A 13-year-old who has been subjected to years of parental alienation and forced relationships isn't going to suddenly develop compassion for someone who has caused her family pain, regardless of that person's illness. Punishing her for expressing honest feelings seems more likely to breed resentment than teach empathy.